Welcome back to Uncovered. So this is our first episode of season 3. How exciting. We've been doing this now for a lot of weeks. How many weeks in each season?
There's 20 weeks in each season, but I'm pretty sure we launched in October last year. I'll have to pull out that date actually.
Wow.
We're going to have our first birthday.
Yeah, we're going to have our first birthday soon. That's what
Christmas party.
I was saying to Steph, I'm like, we need a Christmas party. Just me and Steph and Ross.
Our producer.
Exactly. No, it's been really great. So we have actually done a planning session recently where we've got some really great content, and we've already started filming and recording. So as you'll notice, well, actually, if you're listening, you won't notice, but we're going to start filming our episodes as well. So if you would like to watch us as well as listen to us, we'll be on YouTube.
Yep. Search for Uncovered for pole dancers. We're there.
Yeah, so we're just sort of expanding, I guess, and just seeing what works, what you guys like.
And also experimenting because it's all very new to us. So we're seeing what everything is like and what works, what doesn't, and, try a season with some videoing to see how that goes, because I know for some people that platform is better. But yeah, we're just really excited to be back for a third season.
Yeah, definitely. So today we won't talk too much about, we'll give a couple little updates, but we are going to talk about pole and how it's a safe space and what it means to us, why it is important as well, and then how we can all contribute to making it a safe space.
Yeah, I think this was a really good topic because we obviously all the time have conversations with the people in our studios or the people we pole dance with, and just I love pole, it's such a great community. It's so amazing. I've had growth here. I've built my confidence here. So we thought it would just be a really good way to kickstart, because I think that almost every single one of you listening or watching could resonate with this in some capacity. And I guess it sort of comes off the back of our Clicks episode.
Yeah.
So last season we recorded, I think it was the episode, I want to say 37, 38. We recorded an episode about Clicks, which is extremely interesting, with Mon, who was one of our guests who has a background in counselling. So it was really good to get more of a, I guess you would use the word clinical insight. Yeah. So
definitely.
But yeah, I think...
And we've had so much positive feedback about it as well, that everyone, people wow, that this has actually helped me. Even just being able to hear what we had sort of spoke about on the podcast.
Yeah, and the experiences that between the three of us had. And we've had some quite interesting experiences, including Mon being told she was part of a clique. So, which... most people would be like, oh my God, I can't believe I would contribute to something like that. And it
can be very confronting.
Very.
For sure.
So anyway, enough about clicks.
Yes.
Safe spaces. I think for me personally, pole has been an extremely safe space. All the things I just said before are all based off my own experience, actually. I've grown so much in those studio walls. But yeah, what about you, Renee?
I think it definitely has as well. And I think I sort of grew into it a little bit because when I first started, if you've sort of been listening to us for a while, I've said it a few times that when I first started, I sort of came once a week, and it was kind of complementary to what I was sort of normally doing in my life. And then I just became like pole everything. But it is a little, it's a community outside your whole life. You have your family communities, you might have your work community,
you might have uni school community.
Uni and school. You might even just have a few other hobbies some sports team sports and stuff like that. But pole is just very, very unique, and so that's why we wanted to talk about it and what makes it unique and why it's often a safe space compared to, say, if you do a netball or something on the weekends or a couple times a week, and why it's different.
Yeah, I think we've touched on it in the first, I think it was the first episode, the optimal distinctiveness theory, where it's being different enough but apart, the same enough as a tribe, I guess. So being unique, where you can have your own little quirky qualities,
but you have belonging.
And I think where it becomes really important for pole is we are almost defending ourselves from the outside world, because just on our TikTok recently, the studio TikTok, you probably haven't seen this because you haven't been on there.
No.
This guy is like begging fatherless or teaching fatherless women to beg for attention since the beginning of time.
Fatherless women.
Yeah, I clapped back with the video. but if you go on TikTok for
I
Paul,
should send him, actually I could make a TikTok with my dad. So
Yeah.
my dad put a pole up in our garage when I first started so that I could practice as much as I wanted, and he's come to performance nights. He's like, yeah, he loves it. And not
Yeah.
that I would show everything to my dad that I do, but like he's 100% supportive.
yeah, and like my dad's never seen me perform, but he's brought me a pair of pleasers for Christmas, and there's like he's been supportive, but he just preferred not to.
But then
watch me
that
perform.
goes back to like your safe spaces. Sometimes you don't mix those communities. Like
Yeah.
we both have family members that are in pole as
Yep.
well. But I know with my sister, kind of when we're at pole, it almost feels like we're in a different headspace with each other or something like that. Like it's, we're still, it's different to then when we're at home or at a family gathering.
Yeah, and I would agree. It's like this is almost because I have one sister that does it, one sister that doesn't, and my mum has also done it at some point. But I probably got a different relationship with Emma rather than my sister who doesn't do it, Rachel.
Yeah,
So yeah,
definitely.
I think it created an additional bond that
Yes.
maybe we wouldn't have. And we played touch together before, or I used to play a lot of touch rugby league variations. So we had played all those things before, but pole was a little bit different, and she has got similar things out of it as I have, like from friends and those types of things. But coming back to the safe space, I think, and where I was going before the TikTok hater, is I think we come together as a community because of the hatred we get outside of the community. Like I guarantee a ton of us have been called sluts or been asked to dance for money or been told to dance on somebody's pole.
Yeah, I was like, even just like a really random remark or,
like keep it to the bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. Of people that have no idea and they don't understand.
But like there's so many people in the studio who are just like, I'm so glad I'm here. Like people don't get it. Like I know that this happens out there, but when I come here, I can be myself. So why can people be themselves?
Yeah, and I was like, it's so hard to put it into words, like what pole is and what it does and why it is a safe space. But we've kind of like jotted down a few things as to what we feel like and what we've heard over the years. And I guess it's like being comfortable in the place, like physically comfortable. Like you have to take your clothes off to be able to do these moves, and that is such a vulnerable place to be in. And some people have never shown their stomach outside of like, their home or anything like that. So it's like, because it is such a vulnerable space, like that's why that when you do feel comfortable to do it, it creates that safety.
Yeah, and it creates, I think, like you're all doing it and you're all doing it together, especially if you start off in like an intro or a beginner setting. But like regardless of what your size is, like we've seen girls from one extreme to the other get confident in their body, whereas maybe they weren't before. Like I remember this one girl who came in, she just signed up with us recently and she was absolutely tiny, and she's just and she's looking at the pants and she's like, no, it's got to like really cover my belly. Like I don't like people seeing my stomach. So everybody has, I'm just going to say everyone's got their shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we've all got our own baggage. We've all got our own demons. They all contribute to how we feel about ourselves as adults, or even because there are a lot more teenagers in it these days.
Yeah.
But I think being able to do that and being able to do that with people who are experiencing those same things, you building bonds with them as you see them break down their barriers.
And I think with pole as well, it's one of the only like sports, I guess, or something that you'd be involved in that you kind of have to take your clothes off, like, to some degree, which does make you feel uncomfortable. But it's kind of like for some people, it almost feels like, oh, well, I actually have a reason to, like, when they go to the beach, it's like, oh, well, I don't have to. Like, people are going to look at me and go, oh, yuck. Or
people are going to judge me.
Yeah, people are going to judge me. Whereas at pole, the instructor's like, mate, this is going to be so much easier if you just take that shirt off. You need armpit grip, or you need this, or, so it kind of gives the people a bit of an excuse at the same time to take that first step.
And I think like chasing down that trick, like, and achieving, like, a thing, I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before, that achievement in the trick, that makes you realize your body is capable. When you can't do it with that layer of clothing on, you're just like, fuck this, guys, it's coming off. Like, I get it, I understand it, and I'm doing this for a purpose.
Definitely.
So yeah, I think the vulnerability is huge, but also like the vulnerability not just in your skin, but maybe you know, the shit time you're having, or sharing the moments that aren't so great for you. We've had little circles just naturally happen in reception where every single, obviously we are female only studio, but every single female in that room shared a moment where they were at some point sexually abused as children, or not to that extreme, like not extreme sexual abuse, but there was some, and like
where they felt uncomfortable.
Yeah. So, and just bringing people together in those, like they don't happen in the workplace, man.
And I guess it's like, people who understand, and you do find people that you can relate to, whether it's another mom or, you know, you're like annoyed in your workplace. Like, how many people are unhappy at work? Like, I feel like it's so
like
many
60% of the 70% of the population.
Exactly. And because work for people, some people just work to pay bills, and because they have to work, which, you know, is a necessity of life. You need to earn money to be able to pay for all the, like, your bills, the house, food, everything like that. So people get stuck in corners where they have to just do a job for the necessity of it, and they might not like it, and maybe they can't complain to their family, maybe there's issues at home, or that they don't want to bring it home, and then being able to go to Pole and just saying, oh, this person annoyed me, or this or that, and like people, they listen, and it's like, yes, like let it all out, and it's just, that's what creates that, you know, that space that you might not have at home with your kids, because then you have to listen to your kids,
or your kids take all the attention, and you don't even get to sit down with your partner or your housemate to be like, God, today was rough. Like, our receptionist's jobs are pure just to like not diffuse the situations, but listen, like it's a huge part of their job.
Just to be there, be a listening ear for people as well.
100%. But I think another really important thing is something the pole world does really well is maintain confidentiality.
Yeah.
So that can come in the form of, you know, not recording or posting pictures of people if they don't want to be recorded or posted. I think that's really important, and I don't think we quite understand how impactful that can be for some people, because there's obviously people who don't feel comfortable in their skin yet, and they're doing it, and they're like, well, I'm doing it because everyone else is doing it, and I see people like me doing it, so I feel okay.
Or some people that people in their outside world don't understand, or they don't approve of, or maybe most people do, but they just have like a parent that doesn't approve or something, and they just don't want it out there. It's like, this is a thing for them. Like, how many times have we heard like, oh, pole is a thing for me. And there's a lot of people out there that aren't on social media that don't really care about posting things and or whatever, and they're like, this is something that I do for in my time.
And like, we have a lot of teachers, a lot of nurses, but for the teachers in particular, like we had a girl we did a TikTok where it just showed the different types of people that polled, and she was going to do it. She's like, nah, the kids will find me, I can't. So it's like, and that's fair enough, and that's understandable. So the other, like, given that we don't know everybody's situation, we've got to be respectful of that.
And when you think about it, like, how many people would go do like yoga or Pilates but are not really posting about it, or, you know, they might not
filming their classes.
Filming their classes. It's kind of like that, except a much better, like, more, I don't know, more rewarding, I guess. I don't know. Sorry for those people that like hardcore yoga and Pilates, but I don't know. It's something.
You guys do you.
Yeah.
Like, and we respect that.
Yeah. But I think that it's just like, it's something that you can do, that you don't have to share it if you don't want to. But yeah, so I think that there's heaps of reasons that make it a safe space. You don't have to be fake either.
No.
That's one of our biggest ones, is people come in and they just be who they are, and everyone's super accepting of it. Obviously not everyone gets along, and not everyone has to get along. But everyone's pretty respectful.
I think is the main thing. And like the number of women who don't come in with makeup, or like come in and are like, half like dressed and it's like, or got like kids vomit on their t-shirt or something.
Well, when you think about it, like at work, people have to make an appearance because they want to keep their job. And maybe at a family event, again, you want to make an appearance, or you don't want to be asked questions about this or that. Or so you can be constantly feeling like you're trying to impress. Whereas at pole, you don't really have to feel like you're trying to impress anyone. You can just come in and just be whoever you feel comfortable being.
And if that is a face full of makeup or like the most extravagant.
Oh, we have a lady that comes in with like glitter all over her body
all the damn time.
Yeah, which is, I love it because she's like, nah, it makes me feel good. And we have people that come in their PJs and just out of bed, what looks like.
All sorts of things, but it means that they feel comfortable.
As an instructor, I feel really good that I can come in and just be like, okay, I don't need to feel like I have to do myself up because I'm gonna be under your guys' like bums and legs and trying to spot you, and I'm like there like yelling at you. Like I don't feel like I have to try and make an image of myself or try and be like wear the nicest clothes. I could just come in and wear what I need to teach the class, but I don't have to feel like I need a face full of makeup or brushed hair or anything like that.
I took like, for me it was a bit of adjusting going from like full on blown corporate wear, and like I dress nicely every day. I really enjoy dressing up, mixing clothes, makeup, hair. So I was dressing really, really well every day. Then I'm like, shit, like I don't want to wear makeup.
I said to you, Steph, you could come in corporate stuff. People would be like, oh.
People would be like, you get a job and sell the studio. Like, they get concerned.
They would.
But like it was a big transition for me. And now, like I've gone from like washing my hair twice a week to only washing it once a week and all sorts of things because I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like literally, I'm accepted for who I am. Yeah. No makeup, pimples, everything.
Yeah. Especially with all the mask wearing.
Oh, so many breakouts. But yeah, you can express who you are. You can talk about your issues. I just think studio owners have done such a great space at making this such a great space. Is that what I just said?
Yeah, such a great job
at making this a safe space. And I think what that is born from is their desire to recreate what they experienced, I think.
Yeah, like, definitely.
And I do think that there's not too many in the industry who are here for money, because if they are, there's not a shitload of money to make from it.
I feel like I don't know any in studio owners that hadn't polled beforehand. Like you don't go into buying a studio, have never polled before. Yeah,
it's just and I don't think it's not
just a business thing for people.
It's not an investing, like I don't think the investment, from an investment point of view, it's not a huge return, I don't believe. Like it's not enough for people to put their money in it and just hope that it's okay. So yeah, you are really going into studios of people who care and really care about their students and their experience. Well, I hope you are. And if you're not, could be time to look for a new studio. I don't know. It depends. Are you being fulfilled? Are you having a new experience? That's the main thing. And so for some people, this safe space is what creates their optimal student experience. Other people might want to go and get absolutely smashed and do what they want to do, but each to their own. So I guess I think the next point we had is why is this important?
Yeah. And I guess we've already touched on it a little bit by saying it's like a vulnerable position to be in, like having to, take your clothes off. You're literally doing stuff with your body. You're moving your body around. So you're very open, like you're putting yourself in a very open position for potential of judgment and, that sort of feeling.
I think too, especially because for a lot of people, they are able to express, I want to say sexuality, but their sexy side.
Which is very taboo still.
Still, in 2021, it's still extremely taboo. But I remember my mum came and did a burlesque class with me, and she ended up, I think it was 2 weeks, and she's like, I can't come because I can't look at myself in the mirror. So, but she's so insecure because she thinks everybody else is looking at you too. And they're not. They're looking at themselves in the mirror being like, holy shit, somebody else is looking at me in this mirror.
I've had to even speak to my mum a few times. We've been on a few holidays where she was like, oh, nah, like or was one holiday she's like, oh, I did bring a 2-piece, but I don't know if I'm going to wear it. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I just don't even understand. And she's like, oh, well, my body's not as good as yours. I'm like, it's not about that, Mum. Like, and we'd done, our last trip we'd done together, she wore it and at first she was feeling like, oh, nah, I'm not feeling really good about this. And then I'm like, who cares? Like, you need to like, just don't even worry what other people are thinking. I'm like, if you actually take a look around and see what other people are wearing, there were so many other ladies out there that were bigger than her, that were strutting around in smaller 2-piece than she even had in her suitcase. And she was like, oh, look at that woman, she's doing it. And the amount of times I've tried to convince my mum, come do pole. But she's so busy in her life anyway. But yeah, I'm just like, I do feel for those people that do think like, oh no, like everyone's looking at me or judging me.
And I guess I'm going to use your mum as an example. Like, why did she pack that 2-piece?
Because she wanted to wear it.
Exactly. And I think this is why pole is so great, is because there was a girl who started with us a little while ago. Sorry, I'm jumping a little bit, but I'll come back. And not long after she started, she went to the beach and she's like, it's the first time I've ever not worn shorts on the beach. And pole has given me that confidence. So I think people want to do these things. They want to feel comfortable doing them. And I think pole enables that. Yeah. And I think that is why this is important, because of the overall outcome we can get from this. And just not from this as instructors, studio owners, like people. Like, we can give people the ability to see their own self-worth. And I think that is a huge thing. And that's what motivates me every goddamn day. Like, every time I reflect on what I do for a living, I'm just like, I had to empower women all day.
I was like, I think that perfectly captures exactly why it's important for a safe space. I'm like, that was really good.
This is why I don't take notes, because I'm so much
Steph
better
doesn't prepare a lot, because she's very, well, we do prepare, but she just prepare. Not word for word, as you can tell. We've never been that structured.
Yeah, we like to be conversational.
Which I think brings us to our last point of like how we can all contribute to this safe space. And I feel like we do this all pretty naturally, but then we also can drop the ball every so often, just because you can just fall into like a bit of a rhythm and you can really forget forget what you do, that your actions may actually not be the best actions to then keep bringing this safe space, like to keep contributing to the safe space.
Yeah, and I think what's a really easy one to think about is, and I'm sure we've all got a story like this, is you start making new friends, say, at the studio, and they've got quite a negative tone, culture amongst them as like a group, and then you just quite easily get drawn into it. It's so easy especially to be influenced by other people.
Especially if they're talking negatively about themselves.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that you can draw into. And I've found that in the past, where if people are like, oh, I don't like this about myself, I don't like that about myself, I feel like I want to also be like, oh yeah, like I don't like this about myself either. But I'm like, no, like you don't want to be doing that. You want to be like have friends that pull you up on that and be like, you want to be around friends that are like, hey, I love this about myself. I think my hair is awesome. I think like my lashes are on point and that sort of stuff. And not be threatened, but also not see that as they're up themselves.
Yeah.
That's a really big thing that I feel like we're still not quite on top of, is the whole, oh, she's bragging, or she's up herself, or she thinks she's so good.
And I think, as I'm sorry for the gentlemen listeners or the male listeners, but I think like from a female's perspective, this is so common. We have this idea somewhere instilled in us that if Renee has it, I can't have it, or vice versa, like as an example. Yeah. But we can all have it. Like there's plenty of room for us. Like, but it is really hard to overcome. So I think that competition element
definitely
is still so thick. And because pole is female or femme dominated, these things are going to come out. So when you're thinking about the safe space and how you're contributing, and while it's great to be around these people and have these conversations, if the bulk of them are negative, it is, I don't know what the statistic on this is, but I'm going to gamble and say it is extremely likely
Yeah.
that your thought processes are going to become negative, and then that's going to impact your own safe space as well as the safe space around you.
Definitely.
And I know in therapy, when I started therapy, one of the first things I did, or one of the first exercises he gave me was, because my mindset was quite negative, was every single night I say 3 positives. They could be about myself, they could be about my day, but I have to say 3. And that has definitely helped me see more positives. But yeah, I think that's just a really important reminder, because go back and listen to clicks. You'll hear why it's important, because that is borderline clicks. But the other thing we need to do is just be respectful and really understand that, we said it before, everyone's got their shit. Everybody's got their experiences and things you're not even going to think about. Like, and when I'm like, I've used this before, like squeeze your butt cheeks together like somebody's poked you in the butt. That can actually be triggering for people.
Yeah, definitely.
So not that you have to always be mindful, like something like that is so goddamn innocent.
Yeah, there's some things that obviously that you might accidentally say that you might think like that you just have not even thought about. But you don't want to say anything with intent that's kind of like that is going to be, like that might hurt someone's feelings. And, and then be open to feedback if you do get approached by someone and say, hey, actually, that's not really good. Like that sounds slightly, like offensive to people. Then just sort of checking yourself and kind of being like, oh, whoops, like I've just always said that. Yeah. Maybe I need to have a rethink and maybe talk to somebody about it, but like being open as well. And like Steph said, understanding everyone has their own challenges, no matter how cheery anyone, like people could be, even your own instructors, even the studio owners, like, as
we've all got our bag of shit.
Everyone has their bag of shit. So it's like, just try and be kind and compassionate to each other.
And I think when you see people who are doing differently to you and you don't necessarily agree, I think it's an important moment to reflect on why it's so triggering to you and if you need to put your energy there or not, like what are the impacts of it.
And also not pushing your own ideas or like on other people as well. Like that's a big thing. And I think that people get so passionate, and I get really passionate about things, but there's so many different ways to do things, and being like, for me to be like, oh yeah, you must train 3 times a week, like going to the gym is the best thing that you could do to compliment pole, and blah, 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 blah. Like it's not, it doesn't need to be pushed on someone.
No.
It can be like, hey, well, what do you want to do out of pole? Yep. Everyone's there for their own reason. Yep. So maybe somebody hates the gym. Like I never had a gym membership before pole, and actually before like getting into being interested in strength and conditioning. So, and like really sort of changing my career path. I would have, if I was still doing pole just recreational, I probably wouldn't go to the gym, because I was like, why am I going to go to the gym? Because I'm doing pole. Like,
I can do it at pole.
That is my gym. So I think that not pushing your ideas on what someone should be doing is another way to help that creative space, that safe space, and a creative space as well.
It is a creative space, and like good creative spaces are growing from people being able to be themselves and people being able to say what they want to say, be open to being challenged, but as well as being open to taking feedback and changing their mindsets. Yeah. Can you tell I'm reading stuff about creativity at the moment? However, I think what's really important from this is you got to remember why you started and what you're doing and how you can contribute best to this safe space. And you don't have to be like everybody who posts in the private Facebook group or does this or over the top. You could just contribute to it by coming in, being the best version of you, and leaving.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you have to do. Just be nice. Like, look, at the end of the day,
just be nice.
Just be kind. Like, kind and respectful.
Yeah.
And this also goes to yourself. Don't be so nasty to yourself either.
Yes.
Did we sort of get off topic there?
No,
we're still there.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I feel like I've just like got like shoo over here.
No, I think that's good. I think we're kind of sort of summing it up really well.
Yeah. So guys, safe spaces are super duper important, and I think that's what makes or breaks a studio.
And we want to know what your guys like thoughts are on a safe space. What makes pole a safe space for you?
Yeah, there'll be lots of little things that you can talk to us on our Instagram this week because we're back. Yes. I've barely been on that page and I'm like, now I need to like get back into that rhythm.
I did share something this morning.
You did actually. I seen that.
Yeah. Wait, so this episode is being released tomorrow, so that'll be yesterday.
Yeah. So yeah, this is on the Monday. But guys, we are super excited for this season. We actually went and wrote a list of all the episodes we want to do for this season. And then we realized they all have guests. So we're throwing a few others in the works. Otherwise,
there's so much. There's so much.
You might not get to
coming
listen
up.
to our great dribble that we have every week.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no. So yeah, we've already recorded with one guest. We've got 2 amazing guests lined up next week. This shit is just about to like, I want to say blow up, but I don't think that's very, I don't know. I was trying to be super motivated.
Steph's just very excited, as you can see.
I'm super excited. I made some new artwork for the season. I'm like really excited about that too. You can tell I get excited about these things. So guys, come hang out with us on Instagram and now YouTube. If you want to see our beautiful faces while we're talking all our fun stuff. I really wanted to...
I can't promise that they'll be beautiful each week because like I said, we feel comfortable. So like this week I'm not wearing any makeup.
No.
I did brush my hair.
Oh, that's a good start.
Do
you not brush your hair every day?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, we accept you for who you are.
Thank you. See?
It's a safe space.
Yeah.
I really want to do on the couch with Steph and Renee. I feel like that would just be so much more appropriate for our dribbles.
It would be.
Or maybe wine night.
Or on the hammock.
Hammock would be you, yeah. Maybe we can FaceTime in. Anyway, if you love this episode, please leave us a review. Come and hang out with us at uncovered.pd. Keep an eye out for the great stuff this season. But as always, we do take listener requests. So if you really, really, really want to hear us talk about something, please DM us because we will make it happen and we will make sure we get that awesome content across to you. So until next time, see you soon.